It was a big, big mistake, AT&T. And I wonder if anyone warned you, or the executives who finalized the purchase of CNN. I wonder if anyone warned you, don't do it. Don't buy a dying network. Are you nuts? But they did. And now they're $150 billion in debt. Wow. AT&T reportedly looking to sell CNN after hit from hating Trump, Gasparino. There was a period where CNN used to send reporters out on the ground. Now CNN just complains about Trump all day. To be fair, there was a time when Tim Pool would spend, time on the ground reporting from the field. For me, the difference was I was being physically attacked and threatened, and people started to recognize me too much, so it became just untenable. There's nothing I could do. So I switched to doing, more news reporting, cultural commentary stuff, and what I'm basically doing now, my thoughts and opinions and social commentary, et cetera, et cetera. But CNN made the choice. CNN could send out reporters. They didn't have to do this. The truth is they were dying, and everybody knew they were dying, and they found a path to cash. Orange man bad. We often used to joke that CNN would eventually become just a YouTube channel with one guy like me complaining about the right. And that's the most lucrative thing they could do right now. They won't. They could probably make way more money. It's kind of amazing that I'm getting around 50%, a little bit more than 50%, like 55 to 60% of the views that CNN gets on YouTube. Isn't that crazy? I'm just some dude. I got a room. It's a cool room, by the way. We set it up. We designed it. And I just complain about my feelings on the internet. CNN, $150 billion. Wow. My margins are like nothing. Like, seriously. I turn the camera on and I read the news and I talk about my feelings and people watch. Thank you. I'm eternally grateful. But I don't got crazy overhead. I don't got multi-million-dollar, hosts like Anderson Cooper. CNN's not sustainable. This is. What we need, though, is real reporting. And that's the scary thing. To be honest, I'm fully cognizant of the fact that I rely on the likes of CNN and Fox and, the Daily Mail and The Hill for their reporting. And if these sites didn't exist, what would I really be commenting on? I don't know, tweets? Sometimes I do when you see things happen on Twitter. But yeah, journalism is important. And it's dying out. Well, I'm certainly trying to do something about it, but it's very difficult because COVID has made it nearly impossible. But the goal right now is we actually have the space. We want to hire, I want to hire maybe 4 or 5 people to just start writing stories, a combination of fact checking, aggregation, and actual reporting. So I'd love to send people out on the ground to go and cover things like you got the Million MAGA March happening, stuff like that, and actually start producing this. We would also need like a web dev of sorts. So that's my intention. And the point with all that is, as CNN is on the outs, they already had like buyouts not that long ago. Now AT&T is trying to get rid of CNN. That's funny because I remember back in the day that Time Warner owned CNN, and I heard rumors from top level like journalist types that they were going to sell CNN, and no one believed it. And then they did to AT&T. And then no one believed it when they were like, AT&T wants to sell it because it's a waste of money. You know that CNN pays like $6 or $7 million to appear in airports, something crazy like that. Here's what's happening. CNN's overhead is too high. They're desperate. They're bleeding money, and the parent company is trying to just get rid of them. And you look at what's going on over here. My network's growing. I'm looking to hire people to do journalism, to actually start writing. DC area, mind you, and probably travel around actually covering news. And it's going to be a challenge. It really is, because there's news doesn't make a whole lot of money. CNN turned themselves from a news network into an orange man bad cultural commentary network to try and make money, but their overhead's way too high. I started as doing news, became cultural commentary, and now I'm trying to hire news producers. Got to be careful, though. It's hard to grow organically making straight news profitable. It is a big challenge. Well, let's read a little bit about what they're saying. AT&T is reportedly looking at selling CNN to pay its massive debt. But the cable news company may have hit its peak hating Trump, Fox Business senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino argued Friday. CNN does not have Donald Trump to kick around anymore, and the ratings will take a hit, he told Tucker Carlson tonight, given the current projected presidential election results. Isn't it funny that as soon as they're like, we have to talk about what's the media going to do if Trump loses? Now, as soon as the media calls it for Biden, the AT&T's like, quick, sell CNN. We can't make money anymore. Isn't that funny? I love it. He reports that AT&T is financially unstable with $150 billion in debt. They need to cut costs. There's an active investor out there, Gasparino said. Despite the low odds of any deal in the immediate future, a sale of CNN to billionaire Jeff Bezos would make sense from both sides. Media investment bankers tell Fox Business. I'm not a CNN hater. They have a lot of good journalists there, Gasparino said. The rumor is real. AT&T is a screwed up company, and CNN, like a lot of media companies, it may have hit its peak hating Trump. That's the best part. All CNN was worth was the Orange Man Bad Network. What are they going to talk about now? Why would anyone in their right mind, even Bezos, buy CNN? Are you nuts? Let's see. How can I burn through billions of dollars very quickly? I know. I'll buy CNN with no Trump left. I had this friend a long time ago, this guy I knew, and I was hanging out at Hackerspace. He used to work for DreamWorks, and he was telling me that he was trying to look for a new job and was probably going to get into, aerospace design and stuff like that. And I was like, but don't you work for DreamWorks? And he's like, yeah, but, layoffs are coming and stuff like that. And I said, why are they laying people off? It's like a big movie company. And he goes, we ran out of Shrek. That was it. I laughed. I thought it was funny because they kept making all these Shrek movies that made tons of money, but nothing else. They weren't really making a whole lot. I think it was DreamWorks. I could be wrong. Anyway, the point was they had that one thing. And when they were finally over, they ended up making Shrek 4 anyway because people like it, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised if they do another one at some point because it makes money. CNN, they needed Trump to win. And now, well, I'll tell you what. Let me show you what they have. CNN's Amanpour slammed for comparing Trump's term to Nazis' Kristallnacht. Foul. Even for CNN. Wow. Talk about squeezing every last drop out of Trump. Christiane Amanpour, you have gone insane. She says, she's like, Kristallnacht, 82 years ago, when the Nazis destroyed, blah, 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 so, set a fire across the bow of decency and intelligence and normalcy and stuff like that. And then she was like, after 4 years of Trump doing his own version, Joe Biden seeks to make things normal again. And it's like, whoa, wow, that is bold. It's a death rattle. You know what a death rattle is? It's like when someone or something is dying and they go, and make a crazy, gross noise. And then they void their bowels and you're like, oh, what is it? Watch like South Park when they deal with death because they go over the top with it. This is what we're watching right now. CNN is voiding its bowels. You know what that means? Like, so you have all these muscles holding in your bodily waste. When you die, it just drops. No longer holding it together and that's what's happening right now with Christiane Amanpour. This is like, I imagine you eat all of this trash for 4 years and just keep pumping out garbage, Orange Man bad. And then eventually you got to take a big old dump. CNN Amanpour slammed for comparing Trump's term to Kristallnacht. I am impressed. But this is like Christiane Amanpour. This is the perfect analogy for like CNN vomiting on the table in front of all of us, something that's not even news anymore. Like it got to the point where they were telling us stuff and then one day they just barf all over themselves and more people tuned in. It's true. If you did a nightly news broadcast and you were like, tonight, breaking news, you'd get way more viewers. People would be like, whoa, what is this? This is crazy. That's what's happening. This is truly incredible. They say, CNN international anchor Christiane Amanpour has been labeled despicable and disgusting after comparing a deadly night at the start of the Holocaust to Trump's 4 years in the White House. She said, this week, 82 years ago, Kristallnacht happened. It was the Nazis' warning shot across the bow of our human civilization that led to genocide against a whole identity. And in that tower of burning books, it led to an attack on fact, knowledge, history, and proof. After 4 years of a modern-day assault on those same values by Donald Trump, the Biden-Harris team pledges to a return to normal. What? CNN deserves to flounder for this. This is ridiculous. Quote, it's disgusting, though not surprising, that a major media figure would use the Holocaust to make a cheap political point. It is something progressives have done for a long time, disgracing the memory of those who have passed in the Holocaust in order to make a false accusation against the United States president. It seemed the only time many people care about anti-Semitism is when they can use it to their political advantage. I think it was Michael Malice. He said this when I did the podcast with him and Alex Jones. He said that one of the quotes that really makes the feminists angry is that more white supremacists fought against the Nazis than progressive feminists did. And it's funny because he's right. Isn't that weird when you think about like the World War II era? Yeah, this was pre-civil rights, man. Remember all the videos you see from like segregation and they're like harassing minorities and stuff, or black people particularly? The World War II was like 10 years before all that. So these young men who were storming the beaches were probably all very racist. Okay, not all of them, but a lot of them probably were. That's what people were like back then. It's what they believed. I don't see any progressive feminists storming the beaches. Anyway, long story short, 'tis the end for CNN in some respects. And maybe this is the last dying gasp as we watch CNN void their figurative bowels. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I will see you all shortly.